Welcome to The Right Focus, a podcast for writers, newbies and veterans, and everyone in between. We're hosted by Emma Lee with the assistance of Remy Black and Edie Rooms, all from Writers Inc. Books. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Each episode lasts as long as it takes to fix a quick dinner, drive a short commute, or take a brisk walk. Resources and links are in the show notes. Visit us at therightfocus.blogspot.com. Now, on to this week's episode. Beginning with this episode and continuing through August, The Right Focus has new additions to the Quick Tips for Writers series. 6 episodes of more writing tips from host Emma Lee, distilling over 10 years of published writing. Hopefully, you will find a spot of wisdom in each of the Quick Tips for Writers. Tackle the next book is Quick Tip 15. In considering your next writing, what is your first approach? Many start with situation, a thriller in the backwoods, or a lost suitcase at a bus stop. Others start with character, a freewheeling type faced with his 2 orphaned nieces, or the workaholic confronting job loss that redefines her priorities. Or you wake up with the title, and the story springs out when you sketch a few ideas. We are never truly blank when we start. We might not want to write what's in front of us, but we aren't blank. One truth. No sooner do we have an idea than a main character emerges, a glimmer that solidifies as we consider that shining idea for the protagonist. At this point, many say start with character templates. I disagree. I think our best start is that shining character in conflict. I propose a start with what I call the plot 7. 7 major scenes that will quickly form into a complete story, or refuse to form a story, which is time for us to cast for something different. The 7 scenes are basic sketches, although I've had some turn into final forms during this first writing. I've also gutted the original sketch, and by the time the novel's finished, only a few touches of the original sketch remain. Some of these 7 are out of sequential order on purpose. Characters will develop from these scenes. Any other characters are fillers, walk-ons, unless you decide to add a subplot. Plot 1. Plot 7 begins with the most important scene for you, the writer, and for the reader, the beginning. Introduce the protagonist. What is the protagonist doing? Thinking. You are crystallizing your image of this character. Walk him onto the stage. Please do not describe the physical appearance and think yourself done. Physical appearance matters very little at this starting point. Hint at the dear desire, a person, a goal, a dream that is most important and will propel them into direct action. Exhibit the protagonist's dissatisfaction with life as it currently is. This isn't unhappiness or discontentment. It's like a shirt that fits a little tight across the shoulders while bulging around the waist, but the fabric is soft and in a favorite color, so it never gets thrown out. What thought process or action will have the reader like this character? You're building the common link between your protagonist and the reader. Will the protagonist have a flaw or a secret that desperately needs to remain concealed? The emotional content of a character is something that artificial intelligence cannot replicate. While AI can describe a character physically, the thoughts and desires, the driving motivation of someone is very difficult for AI to present without sounding like a list. And reveal the antagonist by answering 2 key questions. Key 1, how is the antagonist similar to the protagonist? Key 2, How is the antagonist different from the protagonist? All of these 7 scenes are quick sketches, but this beginning scene is not a toss-off. Consider each of these points carefully. This simple scene may take several days to create. You might mull over the questions long before you write a scene you would consider worthy. When you finish, you know your protagonist and antagonist, whether a person or a thing. You know if you have a love interest, the dear desire as a person. And you may have a character associated with the protagonist's dissatisfaction with life as it is. Plot 2. You have the beginning. Now write the ending you want for your character. What will be the protagonist's emotional state, intellectual state? How will the reader know that the protagonist has triumphed over the conflict presented by the antagonist? What kind of ending will you have? We're narrowing to genre here. Each genre has a particular type of ending. Place your protagonist in that ending and offer up the dear desire. We expect the dear desire to change for the protagonist as you write the story. How do you anticipate it changing? Did a goal actually become a person, or vice versa? What is the expression you want the reader to have when they reach the end? Will they be laughing with the protagonist, or nodding at an unexpected twist? Will they think justice was served for a betrayal? Will the murderer slip away, or will the cops arrive after the protagonist solved the case? And does the answer to these questions match your genre's expectations? Plots 3, 4, and 5. The story is rolling forward in these 3 scenes, each offering a level of danger, emotionally or physically or intellectually, for our protagonist. In plot 3, we need to see the protagonist's first great stress point. Plunge the protagonist into a problem that will create an emotional low point. Sketch out the necessary elements of the scene. What drew the protagonist into this event? What happens to the protagonist emotionally and intellectually and physically? Where is the dear desire in this scene? We should have this desire questioned, pressured, or threatened. How will the protagonist recover from this event? Or will the protagonist continue, emotionally scarred or intellectually wounded? If you physically damage the protagonist, work in time for the character to heal. The protagonist will obviously escape from this stress point. How does the antagonist react to this escape? What is the next plan against the protagonist? Plot 4 offers the antagonist early triumph over the protagonist. Yes, our protagonist has to lose, and lose something extremely important. If the stakes are high enough for the death of a character, then this character must be very important in the first 25% of the book. The antagonist's reaction to this early triumph should make this character extremely unlikable to the reader. The protagonist's reaction to this defeat should make the reader admire this character. Honor and integrity, humility and compassion, and fairness and justice are commendable traits. A struggle to achieve these would create a realistic reaction for the reader. The 75% of the story offers the final battle, or plot 5. This scene is not the ending. This is the moment when the protagonist defeats the antagonist. What sets up this ultimate encounter? Set the stakes high. This is the defeat of the representative of evil by the representative of honor. This struggle is life and death, whether the death is bloody and abyssal or merely the complete loss of reputation and standing. What special skill will the protagonist have that allows the defeat of the antagonist? Make a note of where that skill or talent or learning will be acquired during the story. Make another note of proving the protagonist has learned the skill, even if the skill is shakily performed. Like Plot 1, none of these 3 danger scenes are quickly written. When well considered, they create a powerful story. We may also know an extremely important friend character that will be lost. Plots 6 and 7. We reach the most important scenes you will write. Plot 6 is an early twist, an anticipation that the protagonist has that will not work out as expected. This early irony is a plot twist. You may have other plot twists in mind, but this needs to be a surprise for the protagonist and for the reader. This twist will change the trajectory of the protagonist's drive through the rest of the story. The dear desire might change at this point as the protagonist truly understands the consequences of total failure and defeat. The protagonist expects something to be helpful, and it is not. The antagonist will exult over this shock. Plot 7 is a betrayal by a seeming ally. Everyone experiences betrayal, and it continues to burn decades later. Study the meaning of betrayal. It is not disloyalty or broken promises or simple infidelity or unfaithfulness. It is treachery. It is as deep as a heart stabbed from behind when the protagonist expected a hug from someone considered as close as blood family. And we know the 4th character, someone who stands to the side in the early scenes, but builds to importance by the midpoint, stepping in as a focal character after the friend character was lost in Plot 4. These scenes are always a struggle to write, but look, once we have these scenes early on, we know how to approach them as we write the novel. The hard part is done. Plot 7 gives you a great novel to write. These scenes are the major puzzle pieces for the novel. Once we have them in place, we can easily fit other scenes around them, and we can adjust and revise as needed. And now we truly know our 4 main characters. Thanks for listening to The Write Focus, a podcast for writers at all levels, hosted by Emma Lee from Writers Inc. Books, assisted by Remy Black and Edie Runes. Our focus is productivity, process, craft, and tools. Music is licensed through Audio Jungle, called Background Music Loop. Its creator is Alexander Polishchuk, known on Audio Jungle as Plastic 3. The music comes in different iterations. Show notes and resource links for this and other episodes can be found at thewritefocus.blogspot.com. Write to us at winkbooks@aol.com when you have questions, comments, and speculations. We will try to answer you as quickly as possible. By the way, we will not mind your email address. That's rude. If you find value in our content, share with your writing friends or write a review. We're small beans here without the advertising budget of the big peeps, and you can make a difference. And whatever occurs, write on.